everyone. It's 6 p.m. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's January 9th, 2025, our regular council meeting. And Marianne, can I get roll call?
Mayor Young.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sartori.
Here.
Councilmember Brandon. Councilmember Painter.
Here.
Councilmember French.
Here.
Tonight, the invocation will be led by Pastor Paul, and then I will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So good to see you tonight. Good to be back home again. Thank you for your prayers and your incredible leadership and friendship. You mean the world to Carol and I. Thank you, Father, for this day, for this new year. And Father, we commit this year to you now. Lord, I pray for our wonderful village family. Lord, all of our residents. Lord, I just pray for peace and safety and grace for them this year, Lord. And thank you for this spot that we get to call home, Lord. Thank you for the dear ones that stand or sit on that dais tonight that represent us, Lord. Give them direction and guidance and wisdom as they deal with many issues this year, Father. I just pray your special blessing over them and their families. Thank you for our village staff, God. Such dear friends of mine, and I'm so thankful for our leadership there, for each department head, each employee, Father. I'm just so very grateful for them. And then, Father, for our public safety, so dear to my heart, our police and fire departments, God, thank you for the men and women that give diligently, Father, for the protection and well-being of our residents, Lord. And I just pray for safety over them and protection over them as well as they care for us. Lord, I would remember tonight the men and women in our military, Father, here and abroad, some even in very dangerous places tonight, even as we enjoy the comfort of this place. I pray for them, Lord, and for their families, and I pray for peace in our world. And then, Father, finally, we would just pause for a moment to remember those dear families in California. I can't even wrap my mind around such a thing, such a devastating fire, Lord, and hundreds of thousands of people evacuated and seemingly out of control. But Father, you are the blessed controller of all things, and so I pray, Father, for those that you would put in special places of direction and guidance for first responders, Lord, could protect them and give them the water supply they need, Lord, and lower that wind velocity, and we just pray for them tonight, Father, for your grace and your peace for them. Bless this meeting tonight, Father, we pray now in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you, Pastor. If you can rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, first up, a presentation tonight by Mr. Peter DeWitt, who is a great partner of ours at the Gelona property.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor, council members, village staff, for the opportunity to provide an update on our upcoming shoreline stabilization project. So this is a very important project to the outstanding natural area. We do suffer a considerable amount of erosion along our shorelines, and so this is the solution. Let's see, this works. Perfect. So just as a reminder, that outstanding natural area designation is a congressional designation, making this site very similar to a national park with all the protections therein to protect and conserve a number of unique and nationally important values, including the history of the site, the cultural resources, and the biology there. As I mentioned, the shorelines have been eroding for a very long time. That erosion has accelerated a number of factors. Erosion is a natural process, so we do expect some of that, but it has been exasperated by a lot of human activity, including more boat wakes from increased boater traffic and people using and sometimes abusing the environment there. That erosion is currently set at a rate of about 7 feet per year. We've lost over 5 acres of land in the last 30 years. So just a few photos of that condition after some of the high tide events that further contribute to the decline of resources of the outstanding natural area. The project objectives really is a multiple use approach. It is to stop that erosion from occurring, stabilize the bank, eliminate the safety hazards that falling vegetation causes, and the impairment of navigation in the intercoastal waterway by that vegetation entering the waterway. But while doing so, also enhance the terrestrial and marine habitats there, while providing for a range of recreational opportunities, and of course looking after the scenic integrity of the site. This project has been ongoing. It seems like it might be my life's work at this point, but we do pride ourselves on the amount of public involvement we've had. It's something of a difficult and almost controversial subject. On one hand, you have protection of the environment. On the other hand, you have controlling of public use. So finding a solution that equally displeased everybody was our best approach, and to do that we engaged in the public for the last 2 years essentially. We were fairly quiet last year as we went through the permitting process. We now have those permits in hand and the easements associated with it, so it's an exciting step forward for us. The project, as a reminder, many people have seen this before, but it is the entire 1 mile length of the outstanding natural area shoreline. It includes a sheet pile and kind of terraced approach to stabilizing the dune, as well as a variety of in-water structures. Perhaps most exciting is north of the bridge there are some experimental features sponsored by the University of Miami to study how new technology can be used to stabilize shorelines. It does also include 800 feet of boardwalk and a replacement dock for the one that was damaged by Hurricane Irma a number of years ago. That experimental feature will essentially look like this image, and again that's appearing north of the bridge on the Tequesta side of our jurisdiction, and that will actually be monitored for 10 years and studied to see whether it's as effective as the traditional methods of stabilizing shorelines, and that data used to feed shoreline stabilization projects throughout the state of Florida, so very exciting for us. South of the bridge, lots of features that stabilize the shoreline, improve the habitat there, add some more structure to the water, and provide a range of recreational opportunities from a large open beach area to individual boating coves, and then a series of staircases that allow people to climb up and down the dune in a safe fashion that ceases to cause erosion. As artist rendering of what that will eventually look like, but I hope within the next year or so to be able to show people firsthand that view. I mentioned the boardwalk. That's an exciting feature for us because it further draws people to the site. There'll be more opportunities for our youth and veterans fishing programs, as well as the day-to-day visitor being able to watch manatees and look out at the boats coming and going through the inlet, and then of course returning a dock to the site to continue that tradition of maritime heritage that we have. So all very exciting. For me, one of the exciting features about that dock is it does include a public safety vessel slip that will eventually include a boat lift, and we are very pleased to be partnering with the Village of Tequesta on that as our primary law enforcement partner and public safety partner on the site. Really the important things is the project status. Design and engineering has been around for a year at this point. The permits were finally awarded mid-year last year, and then it took us a while to get the construction award going. We were a little short on funds, but Congress came through for us in November of this year, and we were able to make an award. That award happened just last month, and that is going to a local company, Dickerson Infrastructure from Fort Pierce, with BDI Marine from Hope Sound doing a lot of the actual on-the-ground work as their sub. The project is fully funded, including $7.5 million of federal funding and $7 million of funding from the Florida Inland Navigation District to support it. So super exciting for us as an agency to have that really strong financial partner there as well. Mobilization and environmental compliance is underway, so it officially started last week. We're expecting gopher tortoise fence to go up very soon, and that's main feature of the environmental compliance that's occurring now. There will be some adjustments to how people can use the trails to avoid any safety conflicts with the heavy machinery moving around, and then people will have a noticeable kind of impact with heavy equipment arriving in mid-February and early March, where they're actually starting to break ground and excavate and install features. So the project order really is focusing on the dune stabilization first, then some terrestrial work with trails and features, then down in the Loxahatchee, around to the Indian River Lagoon, and then finally that boardwalk and dock are the later stages and the finishing touches of those recreational features. All told, including the planting of over 10,000 mangroves, the project is anticipated to be done in August of 2026. So I really appreciate your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions you might have about the project.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
I don't have any, I guess just one question, not a positive or negative. I'm not asking, there's no real right answer, but right now, obviously, a lot of boats use that area. Are there going to be areas where boats can pull up, or is that going away completely?
Correct. There will be 5 areas for boating use. We studied the pattern of boater use. The maximum boater use that typically occurs on a holiday weekend is about 40 to 45 boats at a single time. Mm-hmm. The average daily use is 17 boats, and there is space in this shoreline for 20 boats. So that average daily use, the people who pull up there on a Tuesday afternoon to fish, they're not really going to notice a difference. But holiday boat traffic is going to be reduced.
Okay. No, that's really it. I think it's a very cool project. I really appreciate your passion for it and all the hard work you've put into it, and for coming tonight. Thank you.
I have no questions. Thanks for the great presentation.
Same, no questions, but a tremendous asset that is necessary and needed. I mean, the erosion has just been it just seems to get more and more every weekend, it seems like. Yes. You notice that. So great job on the design, and thank you for your diligence and your persistence on pursuing that funding. So thank you.
Yep, just like to thank you as well. It's been a long haul project, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel pretty soon with that one.
Yes.
So
Yep.
we can't wait to see it complete.
Excellent. All right.
Thank
you
you.
very much, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, communications from citizens. Mary Ann, do you have any cards?
I do. First up, Mrs. Pat Watkins.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Happy New Year to you all. Pat Watkins, 167 River Drive. I'm here basically as a concerned citizen who's hearing a lot of talk about what I call the Riverside Drive no right turn chaos. I know all of you are familiar with it. I know it is not our jurisdiction. However, it just seems like something could be done at this stage, even if it's informing the public. I know it's Jupiter's Police Department to deal with. But what I've been encountering every morning almost, that I have to travel that, if you're going to obey the law and not proceed and turn right, the red light is extremely long. And for a portion of it, there is no traffic coming south. So either the lights are out of sync, or maybe that will improve with the bridge opening. I don't know. But then you have either the people who are going to be patient, the people who are going to sit on their horns, or the ones who are going to try to divert around you and scream out and make the right turn. And as you all know, that metal utility box or whatever that is, you cannot see until you're pretty well advanced into the intersection, which I know is a terribly dangerous intersection on any given day. And as I said, I don't know that anything can be done, but it's a concern and something, to me, it's an accident waiting to happen, and it's already a bad intersection. So I'm just voicing my concern. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mrs. Watkins. Just so you know, we have been in conversations with Jupiter about the intersection there, and I'm actually going to bring this topic up during any other matters for council to consider something. So, yes.
Mr. Butch Powell.
Hello, thank you all for opportunity to come in and speak with you for a few minutes. I understand the real issue that I want to speak about is on the new business at the end of the meeting, but I want to go ahead and give a few preliminary comments. As a way of introduction, my name is Butch Powell. I've worked pretty extensively over the years to get the FWC to lower the speed zone in the Jupiter Narrows, and I think we're finally making great progress with that. It looks like that's going to occur. It looks like the commissioners are going to approve that in February, towards the end of February. Some of you may also know me as the president of the Beach Road Association, but for clarity, I'm here tonight as a private citizen and not representing the association. I'm here really to discuss the letter that was written on March 14th by the Village of DeQuesta supporting the Jupiter Narrows Conservation Alliance efforts and initiative to protect the mangroves and the seagrasses in the Jupiter Narrows. I want you to know I applaud the letter. I support the initiative. But what has occurred is the specific plan that has emerged from JNCA and Taylor Engineering has some deficiencies that probably ought to be reconsidered. The plan was released mid-November, was filed with the FDEP on November 22nd. Shortly after that, the FWC announced their intention to lower the speed zone, or that's their plan at this point. The JNC Taylor Engineering plan does not address the new speed zone and what the implications might be for the Jupiter Narrows. And that's important in that if you don't need to build these massive breakwaters that they're talking about in their proposed plan, which is 800 linear feet. I mean, that's almost 3 football fields of hard rock introduced into a very pristine natural waterway. The other issue that's probably even more prevalent is the constriction that the addition of the breakwaters would cause in the Jupiter Narrows. I mean, you just heard Peter talk about the additional breakwaters they're putting on the west shoreline. That's going to constrict the Jupiter Narrows in itself. If you add additional breakwaters on the west side of the islands, you're going to further constrict the area. This area was noted in the Atkins-Realis vessel traffic study that the FWC commissioned as the most dangerous area in the Jupiter Narrows in the ICW. So I think I'm trying to get people to step back and wait a little bit and reevaluate the situation before we go too far, too fast. That's my main message.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Thank you.
Judith Davis.
Hi, my name is Judith Davis, and I live in DeQuesta Pines. I'm here to respectfully request that the council members consider banning the explosion of fireworks in residential neighborhoods in the village of DeQuesta. These explosions are not your typical Roman candles or sparklers. These firework explosions are like mortar rockets, raining debris down on roofs, pool screen enclosures, pool decks, in pools, and staining the surfaces of such, and in some cases burning holes into the vinyl covers of hot tubs. I meant to bring some of this debris in with me tonight for you to see, but it's big chunks that look like cement that rain down. The colors from the dye stains the pool surfaces if not cleaned up immediately. So it's not like you can go away for a day and then come back July 5th or January 2nd. You have to be home to protect your home and your house. These blasts are extremely loud. They shake the entire house. It's like a war zone. It's like Gaza Strip. Last 4th of July, the concussion from the sound waves even blew the screens off the eaves of my house. I love fireworks, and I have no problem having fireworks around, but these big fireworks are not compatible with a residential neighborhood, with children, pets, and veterans. PTSD does not take a day or two off every year, and neither does safety. Perhaps a solution would be to allow residents to explode these fireworks into Cuesta Park on County Line Road. There could even be a fire truck and EMS on hand to ensure safety. This would create a safe and non-residential area for residents to enjoy their fireworks. The current lack of regulation is dangerous to all, and once again, I respectfully request the council to consider banning fireworks in the residential neighborhoods of Tequesta. Tequesta is family-oriented, it's quiet, it's wonderful, which is why we choose to live here. I feel like this kind of behavior might be appropriate for the farms or Riviera Beach. I do not feel that it's necessary here in the village of Tequesta to allow this. I do understand the state has allowed it 2 times a year, but municipalities are making their own decisions about this, and I would ask that you would think about this for 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Mr. Sean O'Reilly.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year, Council. Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. Sean O'Reilly, 121 Magnolia Way, on behalf of Riverside Oaks HOA. I do not see Doug Chambers, Director of Public Work, here tonight. I just wanted to say that, for the past 10 years I've been on the board, we've had we come to the understanding that the sidewalks and the roadways are owned by the Village of Tequesta, and we've had some maintenance items, quite a few items, and Doug has been an absolute pleasure to work with. He's an astute professional, very responsive. On a personal note, I've been dealing with a nightmare contractor at my own house on a driveway project. Doug's been out multiple times, quick to respond. Laundry list of deficiencies. The first thing he said when he got on the property before he got out the truck was, "I have a storm drain that goes to our lake." He said, "It's not covered, you're getting contamination into the lake." That segues me into the main topic, which is the development to the north, which is a known brownfield contaminated site with the DEP. This is the area that's proposed by Key Estates for development. The issue we have is that looking at it from a GIS map, it only makes sense that the 2 existing storm drains that are not covered flow into our infrastructure or through our community. We made a request in September to the VOT for several items, all reasonable. One being a meeting, second, the drainage plans, and third, a hold on the project until the DEP, who has acknowledged that there is deficiencies in their required reporting, to catch up and allow us to do our due diligence to make sure this is not impacting our community in a negative way by exposing us to chemicals. I would hope that you do the same, as safety to us as an HOA is paramount, the safety of our residents. We'd like to feel that you do the same thing. So we would like to once again put this request in for those items so we can look further into this and try to see what's been going on for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Gary Dennison. Oh, that's you. Oh.
Any other public comment? Okay. All right, moving on, communications from council.
Just want to say that as a whole, Christmas in Tequesta was absolutely incredible. Fire, police, the village staff, you guys continually outdo yourselves with making this a special place for Christmas, and this year was no different. So thank you to everyone who had something to do with that.
I'm good.
I echo what Patrick said, just phenomenal for our families. I don't have any more comments.
I just wanted to address something that I brought up at the end of last meeting, and I want to thank our village manager, Jeremy Allen, and village council, Pete Davis, for looking into immediately trying to find a way where we can reduce some of the hard charges that we had to assess because of our water improvement, the hard charges of our residential charges. And unfortunately, I thought there was a some flexibility and wiggle room in the statute, but we're kind of restricted to where we are, so there's no ability for us to generate extra revenue from extraterritorial properties. So I just want to bring that up, that we look at it, and I want to say, just acknowledge the staff for doing an immediate turnaround on that during the holidays. So thank you guys.
Yeah, nothing for me, just Happy New Year. Break was nice, but it's nice to get back to business too sometimes. And if council's good, and just so for the public that had comments tonight, typically if it's something that maybe we could discuss in the future, I will bring them up during any other matters. That's at the end of the meeting. We don't take public comment then. You're happy to stay till the end, of course. If you can't make it, this is live stream, so you can watch it at a later date to see what we decided. But I'll proceed in that manner on the items that were brought up tonight, if council's good with that.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, moving on to standing reports. Village Attorney.
Speaking of back to business, tomorrow I'll be in Orlando chairing the Florida Municipal Attorneys Association Board of Directors meeting. We'll be setting our agenda for our annual CLE seminar in July, making us all a little bit smarter than we are right now. So, but other than that, good to be back. Hope everybody had a great, had some good downtime over the holidays. I know I did.
Any questions, comments for me?
No, thank you, Keith.
Right, Village Manager.
All right, thank you. January 16th, we have the Infrastructure Surtax Oversight Committee, Local Planning Agency, and the Planning and Zoning Committee. January 20th, the Village Hall will be closed for Martin Luther King Day. January 22nd through the 25th, Constitution Park will be closed for event setup for the January 25th Tequesta Fest, and so we're very excited about that. With Tequesta Fest, just keep everybody in the loop. You know, residents are free for that event. We do charge non-residents to come in for that event. And I guess maybe lastly or first, I did this before, but I'm gonna do it again. I just wanna, this is Chief Troop's last meeting with the Village of Tequesta, and so I just wanna thank him for his service publicly. I know Mr. McLaughlin, our incoming fire chief, is here too, so I'll recognize him, but just Chief Troop, thank you. Appreciate all your years of service to the Village of Tequesta. So.
Oh, thank you. Any comments or questions for Jeremy? All right, moving on, Police Department.
Evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Village Manager, Deputy City Clerk, and Attorney. It's been a busy month, obviously. Like you all know, December, some of the things we had going was our civilian firearms class continues. We have another one coming up next weekend. John Pruitt's doing a phenomenal job with that. We had 2 ride-alongs with residents, 3 car seat installations that we offer free of service to anyone, a new father or grandfather that wants to place a car seat in their vehicle. Fingerprinting services, as you all know, we had Mayor for a Day. And in one of the conversations with our mayor for the day, she said she didn't know that our fingerprinting services were free of charge for residents. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that out there, just kind of remind the folks that, you know, for residents, there's no charge. You just call Maria and set up an appointment, and we'll take care of you. So there is a charge for non-residents, though. So we did Santa sleigh ride along with Parks and Rec. The weekly Explorers meetings continue. This next meeting, we'll have 5 additional kids that will be in the class, so we'll be up to 13 kids with the new 5 that are adding. And Manatee Boat Marine Service is out there every weekend. This weekend it was Detective Loney was out there on the waters. They were quite busy, but as you can see from your report, he made a lot of contact with folks and some vehicle stops and warnings as well. So. With that, I didn't know it was Chief Troop's last meeting, so I'll defer my time to him, and other than say, he's been a pleasure to work with. Honestly, we have a great relationship. He really made me like fire, which is hard to believe, but he, honestly, it was an honor working with you, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
And up for last time, I did not realize this either coming into the meeting, Chief Troop for the Fire Department.
There's no band or anything.
Or there would have been if I realized it. No, I'm just kidding.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Village Council, Mr. Manager, Village Attorney, and Village Clerk. First of all, I'll just start off by saying Happy New Year. I know I had a good time when I was off over the holidays, and I think it was already mentioned what a great time we have here at the Village of Tequesta. The fire department's no different. We attended the installation luncheon for all of our associations, and that was well attended and a fantastic event. We participated in the Jupiter de Cuesta parade through Abacoa, and again, a great event. We once again run out of candy canes every year, no matter how many times I tell staff to double the order, we still run out. So Chief McLaughlin, tell them to double the order because we ran out again. The chili cook-off check presentation, to go back a little bit, that was at the beginning of January at the last meeting. Again, an absolute honor and a privilege to be here and just be part of that, just that one little thing, being able to give back to our veterans and be a part of an organization that supports that type of thing, and to be able to give that kind of money coming from a small village that's obviously supported by residents and surrounding community. That's just an honor. The Christmas open house, if you didn't get a chance to attend it, you really missed out. One of our firefighters, Vanessa Allison, I think we have the picture of that. If you could get us to that picture, that's the installation luncheon. There's the parade. There's the checks. Yes, so that's a couple of former employees that we had there that volunteered to come back. Something I hope to do myself. Just to help out at the event, and there I am with Santa Claus, and we had a fantastic time. It's just an amazing thing when you see the kids light up when Santa Claus knows their name.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I'll give you the keys to that later. But anyway, great event, well attended, and certainly gets the Christmas season off to a good start. And New Year's was the same. I think we had a great time. So what have we really been working on outside of all these events? Well, a couple of things. We did send Firefighter Wickard to the Health and Safety Conference, so that was attended. And then for me personally and internally, of course, it's about transition. So I'm looking at a transition plan. I've talked with Chief McLaughlin several times. We text almost every day. We're communicating regularly. I think I have him set to work for, a couple of weeks here in a row, meeting with senior staff, internal meetings. We're going to talk about everything, emergency management and fire prevention and operations and EMS and building inspections and you name it, we're going to discuss it. And I'm going to try to give him the best foot up that I can give him, the best push forward. It was an honor to be a part of the process to help select the next fire chief. I think it was a very thorough process. I was happy to be a part of it in my way, and I think we've got the right guy coming in. Just for the record, I fully support Chief McLaughlin. I think he'll do a fantastic job for him. With that said, he starts on the 23rd, although he will be in the building in and out quite a bit over the next week or two. My retirement is set for February the 3rd. We will be doing a change of command ceremony right out here at 10 a.m. It will be a very significant event, I think. First of all, in Tequesta's history, we've never actually done one of these. This is the way it is supposed to be done, this way. There's truly somebody in command handing the baton to somebody else, and that's the way we're doing it. So we'll be sending invites out on that here shortly. In fact, I think I looked at the final proof of that today, so hopefully tomorrow. But yeah, we'll get it out tomorrow. I think the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to invite John McLaughlin just to come up and say hello. Come on, just say hello to the gang. So this is incoming Chief John McLaughlin, and say hello.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here. Chief Trube has been fantastic, passing the torch to me. I've met a few of you already, and I cannot wait to get started. It's truly an honor. So I want to start tomorrow, to be honest with you. Just had something I had planned already, and I just can't get out of it, so that's why the 23rd. But he's setting me up for success each and every day, and I just can't wait. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and welcome.
You guys went easy on him, no questions, huh? With that, that'll pretty much conclude my report, unless, of course, there are questions. I will say it truly has been an honor and a privilege to be your fire chief. I've enjoyed working with council and with staff, and I think I'm leaving in a good time with a strong fire department and a good successor coming in behind me. And I'm proud of where we're at and what the Village of DeWitt is and what the fire department is. So with that, I'll take questions.
Thank you. Council, any comments, questions?
No questions, no comments, so then we'll miss seeing you up here, and just best of luck with everything you have to come.
Thank you.
Well, we never got boots, did we?
No, we never did.
Still love you. I do wish you well in your retirement. Congrats.
Thank you.
It's a
It's
big
good seeing
feat,
you.
and you were part of the original.
Yes, I'm the last original member. I've mentioned that a few times, I think, but I'm proud of that too. When you take a job and you look around and you're a lieutenant, you're still the youngest person in the department. In the back of your mind, you know that could happen. I don't think I ever saw myself as the fire chief, but I did see myself being the last original, and I'm proud of that fact too.
Awesome.
Chief, I've been a part of the fire service my entire life, so I could be overly critical of a fire department, and you've done a phenomenal job here, from customer service to public relations, operations, training, and education. You know, you and your team wear so many different hats, and you do so much more than much larger departments. You should really be proud of what you've accomplished into your retirement. And thank you for serving us.
I appreciate that, and I think you hit it on the head. You said team. It was right in the beginning of your statement. There is nobody that is successful without a good team. I've had an excellent team my entire career, and that team will continue on. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chief, thank you. It's been about 2 years I've been able to work with you, and unsolicited, a comment was made to me about you, and not as a chief, but when you were a firefighter and you were a leader down in the ranks. And I thought, I've never been in the service at all, thought it was the biggest compliment that I heard. They said when they were with you, they always felt safe. And I think that's a tremendous compliment to you. I think you've carried that with you, it appears, and it's obvious that you've taken that with you into your leadership position. But that meant something to me when they said we always felt safe with Chief Troop. So
I appreciate that. That's like I said, that's truly an awesome, humbling comment to hear back. But yeah, I've always considered the people I work with, the firefighters, the paramedics, the EMTs, their family. I can't let anything happen to them, and I think that's you just carry that with you, no matter what the rank. I think Jason.
well, congratulations to you. Well-deserved retirement.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you is not enough for all you've done for the village. Your tenure, your commitment, all the contributions you've made, you're leaving a legacy. So thank you, congratulations. Enjoy your retirement, but don't be a stranger. I hope to still see you.
I appreciate that. I don't tend to be a stranger. I think I was informed the other day that the TFOPs, you really, once you join, you can't get out. So I'll be in here at least quarterly for that. And like I said, the events that we do here at the village are something special. So I imagine I'll float in once or twice, if I can sneak past that non-resident fee.
We'll make an exception.
Maybe we'll make an exception, but either way, I tend to be here volunteering and helping out a little bit where I can. So.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Chief.
Marjorie Craig, Utilities Director. I'd like to tell you I was acting, but this is can't believe it's the last time I'll be following Chief Troop. And welcome, Chief Laughlin. So with that, I have a pretty short report today. I hope to be able to tell you next council meeting that we're completely done with water main number 4. The only thing left is really the sod. And I'm going to say this wrong. It's the golf course kind of sod that we've got on order for a couple of the customers that we need to replace their sod. We are going to be we're going to close out the project and going to be doing the milling and paving with our regular road contractor through the Public Works Department. That was better for the village. And B&B has been a great contractor. It's been a great project. Everybody should feel very proud that that project is nearing completion. Beach Road Main 2,
Water Main Project Number 2, Beach Road Phase 2, is on track for going to the DEP SRF loan funding request meeting in February. And with that, I put some, I'm going to read the rest in the funnies, and then I put some holiday pictures. I want to tell you what Chief Trube said is it's a great place to work, and it really is. You're going to love it here. You're going to be loved. It's great people. We're on track with our financials, our monthly revenues, and our consumption. South Martin Regional is still connected, getting a little extra water from us as they need it. And that's it. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Council, any comments, questions?
Thank you, Marjorie.
Thanks, Marjorie.
Thank you.
All right, on to the regular agenda. There is no old business, so under new business tonight, we have item number 12, a conceptual presentation from Gallery Square North.
Good evening, Jay Hupsch. Happy New Year. We've got a conceptual presentation for Gallery Square. I think you're all familiar with the site. Here we go. So it was originally built in 1976, currently has a mix of commercial uses. The applicant would like to enclose the old bank drive-through, which has, with 1,700 square feet of new commercial space. The property is owned C1. It allows retail sales and service, business services, restaurants, medical professional offices, business service, art galleries. It is within the Tequester Drive overlay, which, as you know, is in effect now. That does prohibit formula restaurants and formula retail and drive-through facilities. So this will actually be enclosing an old drive-through facility. And then, of course, formula businesses are allowed with a special exception. So any future uses would have to comply with that. The project is exempt from the civic open space requirement. When that was adopted, it said that if the addition was less than 20% of the existing shopping center, you wouldn't have to do civic open space. So they won't have to do that. As I said, 1,700 square foot addition. They're likely going to have to do a shared parking agreement during site plan approval. Based on the existing uses that are there now and the expanded uses, by code they probably don't have enough parking, but shared parking is a really common thing within kind of mixed-use shopping centers where you've got kind of complementary peak hours, right? So a restaurant's got peak hours in the evening, and an office use might have more demand in the daytime. So I'm going to show you an example of how that works. This is allowed. Shared parking is allowed within our code when two or more uses located on the same site with complementary peak hours of parking usage may share parking spaces. So there's a few different engineering-based formulas that kind of show demand of the different business uses. So here's kind of an example of a hypothetical scenario where a development needed 100 retail spaces, 50 office spaces, and 100 restaurant parking spaces. So this kind of shows how that works, right? So in a nighttime, an office would really only have 5% demand. A restaurant would only have 10% demand at night. Residential would be 100% at night. This doesn't have residential, so I left that out. So at nighttime, the peak demand or the total demand would be 18 spaces. During the daytime, it'd be 170, and the highest peak would be in the evening. So in this instance, this hypothetical project would need to have 250 parking spaces, but they could actually only need 195 spaces in this hypothetical scenario. So the applicant has said that they're going to use Kimley Horn. Correct, right? Yeah. So they're going to use an engineer that I know pretty well at Kimley Horn that's really good at this. So they haven't done this yet, but we assume that they will include it with the site plan approval if they come forward, and we'll be able to work out some kind of arrangement which would then be approved through council. But that's probably one of the main things we would look at is aesthetics, landscaping, and just ensuring that parking fits. So that'll be done during the site plan approval process. McKenna West from Kotler Hearing is here on behalf of the applicant, and she's going to share some information.
Great, thank you. Good evening. As Jay said, my name is McKenna West, here from Cutler and Hearing, representing the applicant La Via DDO LLC, principal owner of 8 out of the 9 Fee Simple Suites at the Gallery Square North. Located just west of the municipal complex we're in right now, I'm sure you're very familiar with the area. Just at the corner of Seabrook Road and Tequesta Drive, we are proposing to renovate the old bank building that's currently being used by Wine Proxy. So tonight we're here requesting conceptual review of the proposed renovation to convert the existing drive-through area to more retail space, approximately 1,700 square feet. After tonight, the next step for us would be to submit a formal site plan application to the Village of Tequesta. Just a couple of photos that I included in the packet of the existing conditions, just to kind of show you how Wine Proxy is currently using the space. They have some seating outside. They have it kind of barricaded off. There's some parking in the rear, and some landscape features in the front there to kind of barricade off the seating area. And I included this screenshot from Google just to kind of give you an idea of the tenant mix. So we have just a good mix of food and beverage, a little bit of retail, and the ownership is thinking because the space boasts such a strong draw to the community already that based on this activity, the additional retail expansion will only strengthen the commercial center as an asset to the village. I included this street view photo. I wanted to show kind of the pedestrian patron experience and those passers-by heading west on Tequesta Drive, just to show kind of how it exists today, and I have a vision for how we want to improve the space, for how for the connectivity coming from the east, from the municipal complex into the space. We'd like to really improve that crosswalk there and some landscaping right there in the buffer and in front of the proposed enclosure of the retail. Included some of the architectural elevations. So as you can see, the front is fairly dominated by the proposed glass overhead doors. This is very conceptual at this point. Did want to note that we show on these elevations a stairwell there leading up to a potential rooftop space. Again, don't really have a clear vision for this as of yet. Have discussed this with Jay a bit. The idea is to keep it one-story retail, but we would like to explore the possibility of some upstairs usage as well. We are not restricting to only retail usage. At this time, we are considering the possibility of a food and beverage user as well. Thinking that the glass overhead doors here promote a lot of flexibility for the prospective tenancy as well. So I included this slide just to kind of acknowledge that we understand that this space is in the new Tequesta Drive overlay district, and understand that we are going to, working within the parameters of the existing conditions, existing nonconformities, going to try to meet the intent of the overlay the best that we can. Just a quick snapshot of the site plan. Jay gave a very good overview of the proposed parking scenario. We have yet to dive into that yet, but this site plan, when it is submitted to the Community Development Department, will have a full detail on the site plan of the site data of the parking that we proposed, the parking scenario that's proposed, that maintains the existing configuration of the site and has a shared parking study accompanying. And with that, I kindly request your feedback and would like to hear anything that you have to say that we can use to make this product better for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Council?
Thank you, McKenna. I appreciate that. I guess a question maybe for Jay. So you'd said there was something on the slide because it's in the overlay. If it was a formula of business, it would be a special exception.
Mhm.
But the use, because right now the use is unknown. Obviously, it could be a retail restaurant. It only has to come before, the use only has to come before council if it is a formula business?
Correct.
Otherwise, okay.
Correct.
So as long as the parking study checked out and there was no issue there, then there's really nothing they would need to come before us.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible if they had a tenant lined up during the site plan process, they could incorporate a special exception into that. I think from talking to the landlord, and maybe you can share this more, I don't think he has any intent of really bringing formula type of businesses in.
Mhm.
I think he likes the kind of local character. But if he did have one, he could sync it up with the site plan approval, or it could just come back separately after the fact.
Okay. No, I think generally it's a great shopping center. It is a little wonky having a drive-through there that isn't a drive-through. I don't visit Wine Proxy enough to know if this is going to affect them. I'm sure the landlord's dealing with all that. That's not really what we're here to talk about. But generally, I think it's a cool concept. It'd be awesome to see maybe a cool restaurant in there with those garage roll-ups for the doors. But I don't really have nothing that is jumping out at me right now as an issue for mine.
Great, thank you.
Good job. You did a good job. The addition of the enclosure, is the plan to keep it the same color scheme and everything to be cohesive with the remaining of the building?
Yes, that's correct.
The garage doors, I'm intrigued. I could see a lot of very inviting community business aspect if you were to lift them, like a little market. But do we know if there's any intention of any kind of museum kind of space, like for cars or anything in the future?
I don't think that there's anything that's really off the table in terms of commercial uses that are permitted in the plaza.
Okay. Secondly, the south side with the really large windows with no paneling in the middle. Is it possible to consider adding some sort of architectural elements to the windows so it's not just the wall and glass? That's my
Absolutely.
main feedback for that side. The stairs going up to the rooftop, without knowing really what the rooftop would be used in the future, with my experience down south with the rooftop venues, some of them have really clever ideas of the safety for the stairs. So especially south where you have more the historical type districts, they use a classic gate as a door, and then when the space is open, you prop it open like a French door kind of concept, and that way you won't have to worry about who's going up and down.
Okay.
That's really all I have to say
Okay.
about the stairs.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's pretty much it for now. The parking, I know that owner, the shopping center owner, has been pretty good about being aware about our parking issues and not creating too much more parking. I appreciate the consideration for the golf cart parking, if you're drawing the locals. But I will let Jay know if I think of anything else.
Great, thank you.
A few questions as well. The Good Shepherd to the north and you got Gallery South. When we're dealing with parking, are either of those considered in the parking study? I'm just picturing, I don't want any of our businesses to lose out if it's a busy night. I don't want any customers to be turned away. So do we need agreements, or is it more of just a handshake deal that we use some of that parking? Good Shepherd's obviously not open Saturday night. Gallery South is closed as well. Is that official or unofficial, I guess is my question.
So it's my understanding that the shared parking study would only capture what the uses within the Gallery Square North as a unified development without regard to any development outside of it. So it's our intention to only park in Gallery Square North.
I understand, thank you. And the next question, the drive-through, I don't know the current state of it, but if it's still able to be a drive-through because it's grandfathered in, would this addition now remove that so it could no longer be a drive-through post-construction?
Yes.
Okay. And that was my last one. The rooftop sounds really cool. Thank you.
Thank you, McKenna, for the presentation. I missed the stair. Where is the stairwell going to be? Or how they access the roof?
So the stairwell is on the east elevation on the left side.
On the west side?
So I guess this would be the south side
There.
of
Oh,
the east
stair-
elevation.
Okay,
So kind of close to the sidewalk.
gotcha. All right, thank you for that. You talked about just rooftop usage. What needs to be done to the roof to do that, and what improvements or safety and?
Yes, so lots of structural work on the first floor would need to be done in order to have an intensive use on the top floor. It's my understanding that the owner does not wish to move forward with that. So I wanted to note that because it is shown in this concept, and I did send it to Jay, to be included in the package for council to review. But it is my understanding we are going to get away from this
Okay.
because it is quite the renovation on the first floor.
In your opinion, the garage door, it looks nothing like anything else in the plaza. How are we going to make this look consistent?
Right. So the use of color, texture. I think the architect would be better to speak on this, most definitely. But they'll use best practice in the material selection to ensure that it meshes well with the rest of the development.
It just seems so modern compared to immediately next door.
Yes.
So it's just a issue that came up that crossed my mind. And with the golf cart parking and with the garage doors, are you looking, or is there a potential that this is going to be some type of golf facility where like a driving range where it's going to make a lot of noise for the people next door?
No, I don't foresee that as being what those would be used for whatsoever.
Okay. All right. And the parking issues will have to be, vetted out through the site plan process. So,
Yes.
but those are my initial comments. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's exciting to see that space, potentially closed up and utilized, because I know when we were going through the overlay, everyone's like, well, Village Center is like the heartbeat of DeQuesta, but I really feel like this area is the heartbeat and the unique area of DeQuesta, and I frequent a lot of those tenant spaces in there. So I think it's exciting. I did kind of have the same question on the glass, the overhead glass doors. I do love them. I think it's a cool concept, but yeah, how aesthetically, are we going to be able to tie them in well? And then really, what's the intention there? It sounds like you have no clue what the intention is right now. But if it's a restaurant, for example, there's not much room on the sidewalk to put tables and stuff out there. And does our code allow that there? Can they even put tables and chairs out there? So I'm really kind of like, they're cool, but what's happening? And is our code going to allow it? I do like the fact that you mentioned turning into the plaza on the sidewalk, the pedestrian access off of DeQuesta Drive, because my daughter and I ride our bikes there. That's on a bike, that's a very sharp turn. Sometimes I'll stop and just kind of walk it. So doing an improvement there would be great for kind of better ease into there, because it is dangerous to go to the drive aisles to enter the plaza if you're on foot or bike. So the rooftop, it sounds like maybe they're not doing it. If they are, and it's intended to be like an open rooftop, I would just take into account light and noise pollution, because there are homes nearby. I think the closest might actually be across on the south side of DeQuesta Drive, because on the north you have Good Shepherd kind of blocks it a little bit. But there's homes pretty close, and so if it was a later night thing, and I would want to make sure it would be done appropriately so it doesn't affect the nearby homes. And then the golf cart parking, I guess I was kind of I definitely see the need for it in our community. I will say if it's taking away from parking when there's a shared parking agreement, I might have an issue with that. Does our code allow for golf cart parking technically? Would that have to be added to our code? I don't know that any of our plazas or commercial areas have golf cart parking.
It's currently silent, so somebody could put it in, but it wouldn't count as required parking space. So that would have to be amended in the code if they wanted to count it as an official parking space.
Okay. So yeah, just a little gray there for me. And I know, I mean, we're kicking off a mobility plan, so part of me kind of wants to see what that result is before we start putting in golf cart parking, you know, in our commercial plazas. But that's it. Oh, it's exciting. So hopefully something moves forward.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and we don't take public comment on conceptuals, correct? Or
Not usually.
no? Okay, since we're not voting on anything. Okay,
I think we have been.
we have.
I mean, if it comes back for site plan, you'll definitely be required to take public comment when there's
I'd be
something.
happy to take it. Are we not
You're,
supposed
if,
to?
if you would like to, you certainly are not
If there is.
prohibited from doing so.
Do you have any cards on this? No. Any public comment? No. Okay. Problem solved. Okay. Moving on, agenda item 13, resolution number 01-25, authorizing a write-off for EMS transport fees.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Once again, you have Resolution 125. It allows for the Village of DeQuesta to write off uncollectible EMS transport fees ranging from dates 2019 through fiscal year 2022. The suggested write-off is $209,120.60. This is consistent with past practice and routine accounting. Do you have any questions?
Council, any comments or questions?
Nothing for me.
One question, have you recently been approached by any ambulance companies to take over any type of transport or alleviate these fees?
We've had a couple of inquiries into outside ambulance companies coming into the zone. I think that's happening countywide, though. And I know that's kind of tied up in the countywide COPCN process. As far as the fees, I believe everybody on council is aware we moved to an outside, we outsourced this. So effective January 1, we now have a company handling all of our EMS.
Understand, thank you.
My question, Chief, was going to be on that. So we're proposing to write off $209,000. What would that number, do we know what that number could have been since we instituted the collection agency?
So there's been two major changes in the way we do the collecting of the transport fees. One, we've changed to cash basis accounting, so we're a little more specific with what we think we're going to collect. And of course, we have a company now that does this 24 hours, 7 days a week, has the resources to do it, can in a very timely fashion get not just the first bill out, but the second, the third, and so forth. We feel we'll move the collections much quicker, and we'll get to the second and third billing out much quicker than we were able to do in-house. So I think going forward, you'll see this problem more or less resolve itself.
Okay, thank you.
No comments from me.
I think I just need your vote.
I need to take public comment first. Mary Ann, any cards? No, any public comment? Yep. Yes, if you could come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name's Todd Wilson. I live in Tequesta Pines. I guess I'm just interested in, this is an arrears collection, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, it's
2019
through
2022. It sounds like, do we have a
Sir, if you could address
I'm
council,
sorry,
that'd
I'm
be,
sorry,
oh, no,
what-
that's
do
okay.
we
If-
have a collection agency in place today?
Yes.
And how long has that been in place?
I'll let,
I'm gonna let Jeff answer when they came on board, the collection agency, but we routinely have sent people to collections. We do have a new company that's handling it this time.
Late 2022.
Okay, so this would be the last write-off of this type, or is there any way to project what you will see with the implementation of this business that could potentially reduce this?
So, I assume you
You're
want me to
good,
answer the
yes.
question. I think what we have going forward is this. If I look at this year's numbers based on cash basis accounting, I think we projected ending last year at 270,000. And don't quote me, I think it's around that amount. I want to say we collected somewhere in the neighborhood of 300,000. So there's no write-off on that, I think going forward, our numbers will become more and more accurate simply because we'll get in tune with how much we think we're going to collect and how much has to go through collections and so forth. So I think what we have going forward is a much better process than what we've had to deal with in the past.
Yeah. And do you actually, I do have a question now thinking about it. Do you think this was a pretty high write-off compared to ones we've seen previous years? Do you think
Yes.
because it was during COVID years too, that has something to do with it?
COVID definitely played a part in it, not only in just mailing things out. You had people, we have a lot of issues with, we had the COVID issue, you have the people that move, you have the people with, it's just off by a social security digit. We don't have the resources in-house to chase all those little things down. That's why we outsourced. So I think COVID plays a part in it. I think the fact that this new company just has so many more resources to draw on, I think that solves the problem going forward. I mean, I'm very confident in saying going forward, this is going to become a non-issue. So.
Great. All right. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the final agenda, item 14, Resolution 02-25 for a write-off for the water utility accounts.
Good evening, Marjorie Craig, Utilities Director. And this is something I bring forward every year, just about every year. And it has gone similar to Chief Trube. This has gone through our process, our internal collections process, where we do the notification, and then we do phone calls, we do everything we can do to collect the payment, and then we send it to a collection agency. The names and amounts that you see here are 2 to 3 years old. Going through that process takes 2 to 3 years. In fact, Dennis just sent me the list for the next bunch of former customers that we send through the collection process. So this is something where we definitely try to get folks to pay, and a lot of them have moved. They don't pay their last bill, and we don't have a way to recover that money without going through the collection process. It's in the amount of about $19,000. Are there any questions?
Council, any comments or questions?
None for me?
No. I have a question. On the actual chart itself, Marjorie, the 3 columns, you've got a past due amount / something. Then there's the last payment date, and then the column in red is last payment. The words are cut off. So what's the difference between, what's the number in red? I know the number we're writing off is in black. That puts to 19,000. What is the number in red that equals 21,600? What does that represent in that column?
I apologize. That is, next time I'll make sure that I review these. I apologize, these were cut off. This would be the amount that was, that we were not able to collect, the $21,634. So the last payment date and the past due amount. Oh,
What is the
oh,
difference?
that's the last payment, I see. I think the last payment they made on the account, but I'd have to get back to you on
All
that.
right, so
I
last
don't
payment
wanna-
amount
Yeah, the last payment.
versus the
amount.
past due amount. Okay.
Versus the past due
All
amount. I believe that's what it is.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Kind of similar to fire, we have, new protocols and processes in place. I know we recently passed an ordinance to address some of this. So do you, that was recent, a couple months ago maybe. That's a new ordinance. Do you think that's going to help with this?
I do
the
think
next year?
that that's going to help with this. Of course, we wouldn't do that for a small amount because the amount that it would cost to go through that process, but absolutely, that will help with this process when we have someone that we can collect
Great. Okay.
more timely.
All right. Mary Ann, any cards?
No cards.
Nope. Any public comment? Okay. Thank you, Marjorie.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to any other matters.
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, moving on to any other matters. Council? I'll bring up the other stuff, but give you guys a chance to bring up anything else you had.
I have more of a question for Jeremy.
the Christmas parade originally was supposed to be at a temporary location for 2 years. And Mike, who runs the parade for like ever and a day, was supposed to send out a survey to participants of the parade over the many years, as well as possible municipalities and whatnot, to kind of survey if people like the new route or if they want to go the old one. Did you ever hear anything about that?
I heard that they were doing that. I have not
No official,
seen the
though?
survey myself or any results, but I'd be more happy to reach out to him and see where they're at with it. And
I'm just
if
asking
the
because if it
council
comes
is
back,
in support of
we
that,
have to vote
I
to
mean,
support it.
yeah.
If it comes back to DeQuesta, we usually used to have to vote to support having it come through our part of the town. So I just want to stay in the loop on it.
Okay, I'll track it.
That's it.
Sorry, just died on me.
No, you're fine.
Went quick. I don't need that for it. Yeah, this is 100%.
Can I just ask, I mean, I'm guessing we're in general support of it coming back, right? Like that's what we're contemplating, or are we like hoping it goes?
The agenda to kind of get support of the old route when they used to have it over there, because he has to start planning it and arranging it. For the parade that he was running around asking.
Totally temporary,
I just know
so-
there was talks,
Yeah, no, it's a great question.
complicating things
Yeah, I'll need a little more background on that as well.
between Jupiter and DeQuesta, so.
So I'm seeing just a quick search that we usually approve that in September, but I'll
Really?
try to get some more information way
I think it
prior
was
to that.
earlier, because he usually puts out registrants.
Yeah, this is
About
what
that
I'm
time.
seeing in September
Okay.
on 3 or 4 different agenda items, so.
Okay, but again, I can't call you guys and ask, so.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that to our attention. I assumed as well, I thought it just changed over. I do have one comment in discussion. Discretionary funds, couple months as of all of you. I will run out of those discretionary funds or when it was established, how long it's been $3,000 a year. But I would like to discuss adding legislative funds to the options for council. I think we're very well represented as a small town at these state events and other events. But I personally wouldn't be able to attend all those, and I just don't have any intention to use personal funds to pay for those events. I do want to applaud Mayor Young and Councilman Vice Mayor Sartori. They've been much more efficient on their travel days than I have. I usually take my time to get there and take my time to leave. So I did notice that difference. So you guys have done a great job with that. And I just noticed for the rest of the year, I wouldn't be able to continue to attend these events. And that's okay, but I did want to bring it up for discussion on maybe a separate fund for legislative events or whatever those parameters may be, so we can continue to be represented there at those events.
That'd be something we'd have to workshop. Is council in favor of workshopping that?
Sure.
Didn't we already workshop that? Discretionary funds? And we talked
The-
about
the
separate
new-
accounts. And we decided on one account because we weren't doing charitable funds anymore. But I have to go back and read my notes. Pretty sure that's how we did it.
Charitable funds was in there, that was part of the policy. What I think, and I'm trying to simplify it, everything is tied to one discretionary account. What I think Mr. French is talking about is adding a separate account for just legislative things, and that way you could still give to charities and do some other things if I'm wording that correctly or if I'm interpreting it
So
right.
it's still one, technically, still one.
Right now, it's one,
Still one,
and so
okay.
what I think he's advocating for is a discussion to see where the flavor's at, to expand it into maybe 2 accounts for legislative accounts.
Okay.
Correct, yeah, my intention was not to
I know, I
increase the discretionary more, because it's kind of open to those community charities, but to be very specific with the use. And I'd love to attend those events throughout the year, if the opportunities arise.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Do you, I will say I'm probably not in favor of discussing that, just from the fact I'm on my 4th year of doing this, and I attend a lot, as you guys know, and it's not been an issue. And it's taxpayer dollars, and I don't know, I'm really cautious with that and how much we allot to that. So I think at this time, I'm not in favor of talking about that. Did you comment? I might have not heard you. If you
No,
wanted.
I think the policy is understood. I think more the question is maybe the dollar amount. I think we all understand, I think we now have an understanding of what the funds are used for, but it may be a dollar amount if somebody's going to try to take advantage of certain things. And just knowing that historically, at least in my experience up here, is that not everybody uses all of them. So by increasing the amount doesn't mean we're going to do more, but it might be a quick discussion, but I would be in favor of at least discussing the dollar amount. And if we feel as a group that it's not worth, or it's not appropriate to increase, then we.
For various reasons, it is difficult for me to get to a lot of that stuff, and which consequently I always have a balance at the end. Within policy, I'm happy to share those if that is allowed by our policy.
So the policy does allow for a council member to share their discretionary funds with their council member. I think there was already discussion last time when Mr. Bradford sat up here and he used the discretionary funds. I think you allowed Mr. French to have some at that point. So I think that'd be a good gesture to, at this point.
I'm cool. I'm totally okay with that.
Thank you.
You owe me big time. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, 3 want to discuss it, so can you add it to the workshop?
Yep.
Les, thank you. And you didn't have anything, correct?
No, correct.
All right, so moving on to some of the comments we heard tonight. So the Riverside Drive, that was something I was actually going to bring up tonight. I've talked to Jeremy about this several times, and I know he's been in discussion with Jupiter on it, and the replies we've received are almost misses and, people stuck on the tracks because they pull out and then someone gets blocked, from Cypress. So I wanted to see if council would want to consider maybe sending a letter to Jupiter, but I would want the letter to be, I would want us to brainstorm and try to have some solutions or see how we can be collaborative with them. It's difficult because it's not our jurisdiction. I don't know if, I can't imagine we'd want to put any funds towards anything, but it's important to me if we're going to send a letter to another municipality that we do come with some kind of solution or idea. And that would be a task for staff to maybe brainstorm, maybe we workshop it. But it's a big safety issue from what I see, and something needs to be done. We can't have someone lose life at that intersection because we all just, it's not our jurisdiction. We're just gonna, let it go by. So what do you guys think about that? Would you want to workshop it or just task Jeremy with something? And
Yeah, I think we should absolutely, whether it's workshopped or Jeremy wants to come up with something, that's fine, but it is, maybe they've improved it, I don't think they have, but the signage, you can't even see it. I think it's like, unless you're really paying attention,
on
like
you.
it should be
Yeah.
right up top where you can't miss it. And it, what's that?
Don't give them ideas.
Well, I hope they hear my
so
ideas.
they can't do that, and so isn't that part of the thing? They were supposed to maybe do 2 right turn lanes, but the arm mast or the light signal masts don't meet the current code or wind load or something. So I think they have it on like FDOT's 5-year plan to get new arm masts. I'm like, well, again, that's 5 years plus then when you actually get the funding, you could be looking at 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and that's too long for to wait and see. Because I don't, from what I gather, from what we receive from Jupiter, I don't think they can hang more signage from the signal mast.
Okay. Do we know what motivated them to do this from the beginning?
The quiet zone requirements.
Requirement.
It was
for
all
quiet
quiet
zone.
zone.
Yeah, it's in their pursuit of a quiet zone.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I feel like we get that roadblock. I'm okay if we brainstorm ideas for them, but again, it's not our jurisdiction, but I'm a supporter of keeping traffic flowing. That's just me growing up here. The second you start stopping everything and taking too many turns, it doesn't go well. So, good luck to them. I know they want that quiet zone with that sign, and I know FEC is really hardcore about that sign.
Well, I think it's almost 2 separate issues to me. It's cause and effect too, right? They have, just like we have our goal for the quiet zone, so that's understandable, but it caused the effect of a little more of a traffic jam, but it was already a really dangerous intersection before that anyways. So I almost kind of look at it as 2 separate issues. the quiet zone with the new signs versus just the unsafe conditions with so many people turning left out of Cypress. It's almost kind of two separate issues, because I think even with the quiet zone there and the signage, it's still a big safety issue either way.
I agree. I'm thinking they would probably come back with hire an engineer, do a study.
Well, I was gonna say, I've been called a lot of things, but traffic engineer's never been one of them. I would say maybe along the lines of writing a letter asking them to look at it from an engineering standpoint or a practical standpoint, and I would say, I don't want to say demanding, but asking them to do it. Otherwise, we're gonna have to take on the cost of hiring a traffic engineer, and I don't think that's where we want to be, but I think we could write a letter, as Mayor Molly Young suggests, and ask nicely for them to really consider that. And we're asking, our council's asking their council consider it, because, you know, from my standpoint, or, you know, my conversations with their manager, you know, they're meeting the task that the council set out for them, which is make it a quiet zone, and they had requirements to make it a quiet zone. They've met that. And so it really takes the council to address staff and say, hey, let's take a step back and let's look at it. And so I think a letter would be appropriate in this scenario, asking them to examine it from a engineering or practical standpoint. But I would hate for me or even staff to try to take a shot, a guess at it without a traffic engineer stamping that.
Oh, I didn't mean that kind of level of.
Okay. Well, you said like come up with ideas, like we can come up with ideas, but I don't think that that's where we want to
No,
be,
not
because
like
we're not.
actual,
Yeah.
like, this is your solution.
Yeah.
More just like, hey, do we get reader boards out there? We have a reader board. Can we put one on Cypress? You guys put another one there. Like something kind of like, really high level, just start the conversation and, at a minimum, because obviously any kind of fix isn't going to happen tomorrow. What can we do with better messaging? I know there was no messaging, and then I want to say weeks after it was out, there was finally some sort of messaging Jupiter sent out. So like I said, maybe put some reader boards off Cypress so people turn off Cypress left know, and don't block the tracks. And I don't know. I was thinking more high-level solutions while, to get their attention, and then a longer-term solution.
Just workshopping ideas that perhaps we're not experts at. And I also, I think, Mayor, you had said that as the main bridge, US 1 bridge opens, those lights are timed now and monitored now, where I think the flow will be different as during the next 90 days to 120 days, my understanding, when the traffic will go both ways, not just two ways, have all 4 lanes open. So I think we might see an improvement in the timing of the lights. To get back to what Ms. Watkins said about, there'll be a lot of times when there's nobody going south and you're getting honked at and cussed at and everything else in the world. But I think we might see some improvement, but it doesn't fix the Cypress Avenue issue, the Cypress Drive onto Riverside issue.
Okay.
Is there, because the traffic issue is one thing, but every morning or all day long, it's a huge safety problem, because as people get more frustrated, they push the limits on those tracks, and the bright line doesn't give you a lot of leeway. Is there a mechanism other than the letter that we can meet with their council? Is there any mechanism for that? Has that ever happened before?
Well, that's why I would like, maybe we put that in the letter. Like, we would be happy to collaborate with you. Can we meet? Like I said, just some kind of high level solution. So we're not just like, hey, do this. Like, hey, we're happy to meet with you. Hey, we have a reader board sign. We'll put one on Cypress. We'll put one on, Riverside. High level. So I think it always helps if you're going to send a statement like that you at least have some solution, or we want to collaborate, something along those lines.
Sure. That'd be great.
I don't know why we couldn't meet. I don't know if that would have to be a public meeting, but
I mean, we can come up with creative ideas, like you say, at that point. So I don't know that it's going to be, the council sitting together, throwing out ideas. I think it's going to be the staff, the professionals that do it on a daily basis that come up with it. So it's going to take a letter to their council saying, hey, there's a problem. Their council turn to staff and going, yep, you guys put together and meet. And so we'll put together a letter that says we'd like to work collaboratively with you guys. Please, direct the staff to do that.
okay.
So.
All right, so we'll have Jeremy draft a letter and we'll send it off.
Great idea.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, moving on to the, Mr. Powell brought up about sending a request to DEP to pause the review for the Jupiter Narrows permitting. I'll lead. I'll say that in my opinion, I would leave this to the professionals and the AHJs because they're the experts. They're the ones that are going to know, what's appropriate. I do know from experience, just because you get an FDEP, an Army Corps permit with something on it, does not mean you have to deploy it. The current way of energy, if that changes, you would think Taylor would review that. I can't imagine a nonprofit wants to spend more money than they have to as well.
That's where my mind is.
Yeah.
I don't see them spending extra just to do more. That's not necessary.
I would like to hear back from, I trust what Mr. Powell's saying, and I do trust what the engineers put on paper. Sometimes the engineers stare at paper a little bit more than the actual site, So I don't think it's wrong versus right, but maybe updates and the reality of how we use that waterway. So if that mechanism exists, that we could hear back from the engineers or from EAC, the committee that regularly deals with this, and I don't want us to try to handle every little aspect.
And I don't know enough about what was discussed this evening to really form an opinion, so I don't know, that's neither a yes or a no to move forward, but
Okay, so did you have a comment?
I need to know really what their
I feel like this has come up since I've been on the dais. There are limits on the type of fireworks that can be used.
All right, so the statute defines firework. There's all the stuff it doesn't include. Any combustible or explosive composition or substance or combination of substances or any article prepared for the purpose of producing a visible or audible effect by combustion, explosion, deflagration, or detonation. The term includes blank cartridges, toy cannons in which explosives are used, the type of balloons which require fire underneath to propel them, firecrackers, torpedoes, skyrockets, Roman candles, and any firework containing any explosive or flammable compound or any tablet or other device containing any explosive substance. It does not include sparklers, toy pistols, toy guns, or other devices in which paper caps are used. It does not include the whole laundry list of novelty things like smoke bombs and things like that. So that's how the state defines fireworks. The statute allows the personal use of fireworks on designated holidays, which are New Year's Day, Independence Day, and New Year's Eve.
And that's a state.
That states that. That's Chapter 791 of the Florida statutes. Yeah. And then there's a sort of overriding preemption if you didn't have something on your books before, I think, 2008. There was supposed to be, they contemplated back then that the state would do some type of a study and come up with a comprehensive set of regulations. That never happened, and that would have lifted the moratorium on not allowing local governments to adopt regulations. That never happened. The recent Attorney General opinions say that prohibition is still in place. I think our code has everything in.
I did not like hearing that. I mean, I've not experienced that with fireworks. I did not like hearing that. I mean, I've not, near my house, but that, so I don't think there's really anything to do.
We'll just try to be more
except making sure we
proactive
do
during those holidays,
If you have property damage, that's a different animal.
It used to be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of.
a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Yep, when we
I
had
think
a
it's still in
house
civil matter.
on fire on my street. Yeah, our street. Okay. And then the last one was Riverside Oaks HOA. That's more of a staff thing. I don't know that that's anything for really council to take action on. Do you have any additional records to send them, or did he want us to send a request to DEP for
So the way I understand it is, that was a request that came up at the very beginning when that conceptual came in. Share that with them when we get those. And then I know they asked for FDP to revisit. There was originally a letter that the developer had on that. I think they've questioned the content of that was reviewed, and so obviously before we can approve anything, we'll make sure that the FTP is fully endorsed the project with a certified letter, an updated letter to make sure that they reviewed it. So at this point, I don't think there's any action for us to take, but I know that Jay has worked with that particular gentleman at that public meeting. I think we have his contact. We will reach out to him and just tell him we'll keep him apprised if we do get an application with that drainage stuff. So, and we'll meet the request that he brought forward. So at this point, I don't think that we're behind or default on anything, and we'll keep an eye on it.
Great, thank you.
Is that the old landscape property on County Line?
It is, yes.
Because Riverside Oaks abuts a good portion directly of West Pond.
Right. And sir, the public comment portion is over. Let me adjourn the meeting, and then we can pick up discussion. Thank you. Right.
On the fire, on Judith Davis, do you respond to her? Does staff respond to her for just closure of the inquiry?
Yeah,
Or is it left open?
No, we can respond to her. You talking,
Okay.
Is she the one with the fireworks?
Fireworks,
Yeah,
yes.
we'll address it. We'll address any of those comments. We'll reach out to them. I'll
Understood.
have the appropriate staff reach out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor, before I forget,